Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am here today to talk to you guys about books. Books are very dear to my heart. I have over 600 of them in paperback and probably at least 100 now on my Kindle. So yes, I know it seems a little bit odd for a gamer to be talking about books, but I like to multitask, you know. It's just like, as you can see, my sewing machine is behind me. I do a lot of things, and I thought this would be a way for you guys to get to know me a little bit more. I'm drinking a nice cup of tea while I talk to you all today. It's called Knows Nothing by the wonderful people over at Beastly Beverages. They have a shop on Etsy in which they sell a boatload of fandom and geek themed teas, and all of them are absolutely marvellous. I have approximately 10 bags of their teas now, if not more. And I think you should all go and have a look, and especially if you do like your tea, like I do. Perhaps not quite as much as I do, because I don't think there's many people that do like tea as much as I do. But yes, I will leave a link in the description below, and go and have a look at their shop and buy some of their tea. Anyway, back to books. I have been up to my eyes in one particular book that took me the grand total of about 3 days to read. From cover to cover in about 5 hours. It's this book here, called the Aeronauts Windlass, and it's by Jim Butcher, and it's that thick. And I read that in 5 hours, which I can assure you is no mean feat, and I'd like to talk to you today about it because I think it's a marvellous piece of writing. I've never discovered Jim Butcher until that particular book. My friends had all gone on about me about, oh, the Dresden Files are amazing, you should go read them. And I'm one of these people that the more you tell me something's amazing, the less likely it is that I'm actually going to go along and go pick up that book or that game and go and play it, because I'm worried that it's not going to live up to my expectations. But my dungeon master at my local D&D campaign gave me this book and went, would you like to read this? And I was like, maybe? He's like, it's got a talking cat in it. I was like, sold! Yes, this book contains a talking cat. It also contains airships, magic, fighting, and all sorts of general bits and pieces of action. And it also has a really awesome cover, which is, I'm one of these people that if the cover art is awesome, I'm more inclined to notice it on a shelf. So if any of you are aspiring authors, think about people who read with their eyes before they read with their other eyes. If you make your book look appealing and look interesting, then I'm more likely to pick it up. If you make the blurb sound interesting, then I'm also more likely to pick it up. If it's a plain boring book with a boring blurb, I'm not going to bother really picking it up, having a look through, and I probably won't take it home with me. This ticks all the boxes for me. It's also got £3 off. You know, discount. The retail price is the massive total of UK £18.99, so it's not cheap, but it is definitely worth the read. And if you do read this and you do like it, I suggest you do what I've done and go back and start reading the Dresden Files, which are also incredibly good, and they're very different to this. Jim Butcher has also written another series called the Alera Codex, which I will eventually be working my way around, and when I get there I will let you guys know what I think of it too. So that is what I've just finished reading. Go pick it up, go and have a read. Either pick it up in hardback or on the Kindle, if you're like me and you have a Kindle so that you don't run out of house space for books. I'm going to be giving this back to my DM and saying thank you very much for the loan. And next, I read an awful lot of fantasy books. I don't read romance that much. I don't really read that much modern crime stuff. I read the occasional James Patterson book. He's releasing his next one in the Alex Cross series, which is called Cross Justice, tomorrow on November the 5th, which will be the 23rd book in the series. So yeah, he's making a good kick in out of that one. I quite like his books, although they get a little bit samey after a while. But yeah, they're definitely worth a read. I don't, like I said, I don't really read that much modern stuff. Uh, Mostly because modern day times aren't actually that really interesting at all. I like the future and I like the past and I like other worlds altogether. Especially, for example, this book. This is The Alloy of Law. It is the first book in the second trilogy of the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. And Brandon Sanderson stole my heart when he also stole my wallet. I picked up his first book, which was called The Final Empire, when my other half was busy playing an MMO and wanted to keep me shut up for a while, so he bought me a book. He knows me very, very well. And I literally devoured that book in a day. I then went on to read the second one, and I got halfway through the second one, and I didn't actually pick it up again for several months, because I'd got to that wonderful point in a book where everything is happy, and like, finally there's some quiet, nothing bad is happening at that particular moment in time, but you know the crap is going to hit the fan, and I didn't want to break that moment. So I left the book for several months, and then I came back to it, I finished it, and I went straight on to the third one, which is The Hero of Ages. And it is by far the most beautiful series that I've written. Brandon Sanderson is an author that I would put up there with Terry Pratchett, and those of you who know me know how much of an accolade that is. Terry Pratchett is the reason why I'm here right now, because reading his books introduced me to my friends, who encouraged me to do crackpot ideas like run my own YouTube channel. So yes, I love Brandon Sanderson's books. I've read quite a lot of them. I've read the entire Mistborn series. I have read the first two-part book of his other series. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. And I've also read some of his standalone books, which are... Can I help you? What? What? What are you doing? Eh? Shut up or go away. One of the two. Sorry about that, guys. Yes, I've read one of his some of his standalone books, which I didn't think would be as good as the series, because the problem I have with some standalone books is that they rush the story, and then it comes to its conclusion too soon because someone's gone, oh crap, I don't want to make this book too long, I better find a way to wrap up all the various plots, and I don't want to write a second one. Brandon Sanderson has so far managed to avoid that in all of the standalone books I've read. I've read the Heart of the Emperor, which was a really short book. It was only about 200 pages. And I was surprised at how much he managed to cram into that little chunk of pressed wood, and spun a story that was absolutely fascinating. I also read Elantris, which again is fascinating in its own right, and all of his worlds are very, very different. None of them are the same. Even the Mistborn series, like from the first trilogy to the second trilogy, when you move into the Alloy of Law, is very different. He completely basically takes the world, picks out the core bits of the mechanics and how it works, puts that back into the history of the world, and then moves on into the future, retaining the same basic principles but spinning an entirely new world. I'm going to be reading his newest book, which is called Shadows of Self. It's now out in hardback and on the Kindle, but unfortunately the paperback's not released until October next year, which is a bit of a bummer because hardbacks are heavy. I prefer my paperbacks for ease of transportation, but I'm going to be picking up the hardback, and I will be reading that soon, so you shall hopefully see my review of that next time. One last book and series I'd like to talk to you about today is the Abhorsens trilogy by Garth Nix. Recently his latest book called Clariel came out. It looks very pretty, it's very, very simple but effective. All of the other books are patterned in the same way. I was really, really looking forward to this. It's been a long time since he last released a Abhorsens book, and I fell in love with his Abhorsen trilogy when I was a teenager. It is a young adult novel series, but that still didn't stop me from naming my cats after characters in the book. I absolutely love his writing. I love the way he spins his stories. I've followed his other series, the Keys to the Kingdom ones, but the Abhorsen trilogy has always had a really, really big place in my heart. So when this one came out, I put off reading it for quite a while because I didn't want to get on board that hype train. Didn't stop me sending one of my friends into London to get a signed copy of it though. Yeah, didn't stop me doing that at all because I had to work, so unfortunately I couldn't actually go myself. And I put off reading it and reading it and reading it, and eventually I did. And I must admit it's quite a bit different to the rest of his books in this series. Clariel follows the story of one who would be known in the trilogy as Claw of the Mask, and it gives you some background as to how she transforms into that character. But at the same time it doesn't. It sets the premise of it, but you still don't know how she goes from being a perfectly normal would-be kind of Abhorsen free magic user to being this twisted, deformed, undead spirit that plagues the main characters of the trilogy. And I'm really hoping that he continues to write from her perspective, because I want to see what happens. I feel like he just got to a point and then he spent all that time building up what was happening and her adventures with the Mogget, who is once again in the books. I love Mogget, he's adorable. He's a right git, but he's adorable. And all of the friends and enemies that she makes in this, and then it just kind of stops. And I'm like, oh, that it. And I don't find Clariel as likeable as I found Lyrael and Sabriel and all of the other characters in the books, and I kind of pity her, but at the same time I don't. She comes across much more as a kind of prissy, stuck-up little teenager than she does kind of, oh, woe is me, I want to go frolic in the forest with my friends. And I really rather struggle to empathise with her at the beginning. Like, towards the end, I really start building up a bond with her, and I really liked who she became to the end, but at the beginning, dear God, I wanted to give that girl a slap. So, yes. Clariel, I loved it. It's still a good read, but for those of you who are big fans of the Abhorsen trilogy, it's not the same as the other ones, but it's still very good, and I'm hoping that he continues and he develops her story, because I want to see where she goes next. So today I've reviewed 3 books, one of which I read recently, one of which I read a few months ago, one of which I'm yet to read, which, you know, trying to review a book I haven't read yet is slightly kind of forward thinking, but we skip that bit. If you've liked what you've watched today, if you enjoy hearing me ramble on about books for minutes of your time, if you have any books that you'd like me to read, any recommendations, I would really love to hear them. I read probably about at least 2-3 books a week, if not more, depending on their length. So if you would like me to read something by the time I next do this little vlog we have going here, then I can normally swing by, pick it up and read it by the time I get round. I absolutely love reading. I've been reading pretty much since before I could talk. It's a really big part of my life, and it's bringing me a lot of pleasure to share some of this love. I know it's been a little bit up and down this episode, but please bear with me. I'll get more comfortable. I'm not used to talking to a camera. I'm not used to having my face there in front of you. So if you enjoyed it, please leave a like, a comment and subscribe. Leave me things to read, and I will see you all in a few weeks. Thank you and goodbye.